Hi, my name's Dan. The Woodentops are a band from England. They started in 1983. They were pretty much a pop band to start off with, but then after a while they became more experimental and more dancey. They've had three albums. They're apparently still going, and one of their albums is much more recent. So this was their debut album, and on the surface it sounds quite typically 80s pop, certainly British 80s pop, but it's got a bit of a side order of crazy to it. So if I could describe some of the bands that it reminded me of, um, The Cure a little bit at times, Dexys Midnight Runners. There's actually shades of Morrissey in here and George Michael and all sorts of other things. And actually, partly that's because it's quite varied. So I'd not heard this before, and I hadn't actually heard of the band, and I'm a bit surprised because I think it's better than the obscurity that they seem to have had. But it may be telling that they're on an independent label or have been on an independent label, so they haven't had a huge amount of exposure, which is a shame. The music's generally quite fast and frantic. There's not a lot of overdriven stuff. There's quite an interesting mix of different instruments in here. There's a bit of accordion at times, things like mandolin and stuff like that, which is where they get the kind of Dexys feel, a bit folky. But then there's all sorts of other stuff in here as well. The guy singing has got a quite a breathy voice. It's a very 80s kind of voice. Um, but the whole thing's nicely executed and recorded. There's some interesting arrangements. And as I listened to it a couple of times, I actually really quite enjoyed it. Um, I can't remember if I said it has a tendency towards the fast and frenetic, and apparently as they progressed as a band, they got faster and more of a feeling of uncontrolledness, which maybe you can hear the starts of that in this album. Let's pick out some tracks. Love Train is particularly nice. Traveling Man, I enjoyed quite a bit. There's a track called The Last Time, which really reminded me of Love Cats by The Cure. And as you progress through the album, it starts to get a bit weirder, which in a good way. I quite like the slight edge of craziness that seems to be coming in, to the extent that when you get to the last track, um, then it's actually moved quite a long way away from pop and into kind of more experimental sounds. I, as I said, I think that uh, this band deserved more attention than they got. I really enjoyed this album. I think if you like that kind of arty side of 80s British pop, then you would probably really like this.
Inside of every pore